thinking.
Yes, continue. (1994), I can't hear you.
Ni network imepotea kwanza, madam.
Okay.
Resian thought how wonderful it would be had she had a chance to enroll at the Egerton University, and after graduation had a chance to work with her role model, Menik Enengoitoi, the Makerere at the sheep ranch that she managed. She imagined herself already there driving a large flock of sheep. And when she thought of sheep, her mind flew back to 15 years or so earlier and reminiscent the first time she saw a sheep. It was a childhood memory, a memorable picture from the swelling scenes around her, which had been captured and preserved by her mind when she and Tayo accompanied their father to the Nakuru agriculture show. She could still see in her mind a group of big, docile, tawny, woolly animals that stood pending drowsily in a green pasture with the sun beaming down brightly from a clear blue sky. She had then admired the white long overcoat that the handlers wore. Tayo also thought of Emma Kerere. She would ask Joseph Parmoat to assist her compose a song in her praise. She had already put word to tune she had composed to ridicule their three women who she thought collaborated with men to oppress the women folk. They were Nasilians. I'm done.
You're not yet done.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Three blind mice who she thought did not seem to know that the world was changing. Those were the Enkasakutoni who threatened to cause Indoyenemengalana ensure they did not get husband nor children. The midwife Enkaitoyoni who threatened to spy on the young women as they gave birth to ensure that any who was among Indoyenemengalana had her status altered there and then. And he dreaded Enkamuratani, who will never tide on welding her Olmurunya menacingly.
Okay. Thank you, my dear, for reading that particular excerpt for us. Now,
Welcome.
when we all read an excerpt or when we all given an excerpt, there are some things that we must always get to know. And now in this particular case, when you come across this particular excerpt, there are some things that you ask yourself, like, what actually happens before we get this particular excerpt? What comes after this particular excerpt? If we're talking about they were silent as they climbed the hill, now who are these people who were silent? And what made them to go to Nasila River to actually draw water? So before we look at the questions that we've been given, can someone try to briefly sum up what actually comes before this particular excerpt? Which ideas come to your mind when we talk of they were silent as they climbed the hill on their way back from Nasila to draw water? What comes to your mind? What do you remember before we come to this particular excerpt? Anyone who can tell us? Anyone? Yes, Ndela?
Before they come, what I can remember is that the
Yes.
girls are at their uncle's place, and they have just have a conversation with the Yokiti, who has told them about Minik.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Ndela. Now, why did the girls go to the uncle's place? What prompted the girls to go to their uncle's place? Okay, we have Veronica, 1962.
Because
Yes.
because they had been abused by the boys. No, they had reported the case that they to their father that they were abused, and they were told to go to their uncle's place for them to be found. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, you've given us an idea, Veronica. Ariana, 1887, what do you have to say?
I think it's after they were accosted, then they told their parents what happened, then the mother decided to take them to their uncle's place.
Okay. Yeah, I believe that is very specific. Now, the reason why these particular girls have gone to draw water from Nasila River is because they were at their uncle's place. And the reason why they went to stay at the uncle's place is because they had been accosted by by the two men. Now, when they told the parents about that particular incident, the parents saw it best for them to go stay at their uncle's place so that they could actually solve that particular issue. And also for the girls to actually get a safer place, which was their uncle's place apart from them being at home. Now, having that in mind, and we've also read this particular excerpt. Now, what do you think actually happens after this particular excerpt? What comes to your mind? The girls were from the river, they have this particular conversation. Everyone is in their own mind, they're thinking about different things. So what actually happens after this particular excerpt? Who has an idea? Form fours, who has an idea what comes after this particular excerpt? I believe you have your books. Yes, Mary, 1959?
Teacher, can you hear me?
Yeah, sure, I can.
Oh, I think it's the song that Tayo about the three mice.
So it is the song after it is now the song that Tayo had actually composed.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Mary. We also have another hand up. Rachel, 2000.
Yes.
Okay, your hand is up. What do you think comes after the excerpt?
After the excerpt, they are asked by their parents to go back home. This is when they were having breakfast.
Something
This is when
more,
they were
anything
having.
else? Okay. Rachel, you have a good idea, but it seems you.
I'm back.
Okay.
This is when they were having breakfast at their uncle's place. Then they were given a message from their parents that their parents were requesting them to go back home. Then Butor arranged a small celebration for them before they left.
Okay. Thank you, Mary and Rachel. Now, having that all ideas in your mind, now I believe it is now good for us to go now back to the questions. Now, the first question again in this particular case just says place the excerpt in its immediate context. Now, I believe this is an easier question because I believe all of us know how to answer this particular question. If the question says place this excerpt in its immediate context, meaning that you have to tell us what actually happens before this excerpt and immediately what happens after this particular excerpt. So I believe we've all tried to incorporate all those ideas that you've actually told us. And when we look at the ideas that you've told us, we can pick actually what happens immediately before the excerpt and immediately after the excerpt. So who's going to now tell us or who's going to place this excerpt in its immediate context? From the ideas that we've all said, which idea comes immediately before the excerpt And which idea comes immediately after the excerpt? Anyone to give a try? What happens before this excerpt? What happens after the excerpt? I believe we've tried identifying the events before the excerpt and also identifying the events after the excerpt. So who's going to answer this particular question for us? Form fours? Anyone before I choose? Would like to give a try? Hey, Form fours, are we together?
Yes.
Yes.
So
Yes.
who'll give us the answer? Who'll give us the answer to the first one? It is easy. Now, since we've already looked at the events that come before the excerpt and the events that come after the excerpt. So which one is which now? Okay, let me go look for someone to answer. Where is Brandy? 1871. Brandy, where are you? Brandy? Is she even with us in class, surely? Where is Cynthia? 1922. Cynthia? Hey, Form fours. Are you in class or not in class? You're in class. Okay, we have some two people who have raised their hands. Mary, 1959. Tell us what happens before the excerpt.
Before the excerpt, while they are going to the river, they talk about how they admire Emma Kerere, and they even revisit the conversation they had with Yokiti about Emma Kerere. That is when Rezian brings up the topic of why they hate. Rezian brings up the topic of
Yes.
Emma Kerere rescuing the girls, and she's wondering how the fathers felt in returning the bride price.
Exactly. That is correct, Mary. And remember, I'm not going to repeat what is being said. So I believe you should be very attentive. So that is what happens before the excerpt. Thank you, Mary. What about now after the excerpt? After the excerpt? After the excerpt, what happens? After the excerpt, what happens? Yeah, Veronica? Yes, Veronica, after the excerpt, what happens?
The girls are told to go back to their home. This is after the boys who had abused them were caught and received punishment.
Okay. Now, Veronica, don't you think that one is way further? Okay, it comes after the excerpt, but do you think it is actually very immediate after this particular excerpt? Because that is what happens. Yes, I'm not disputing that, but don't you think it is way after something else happens?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Now, who can tell us immediately what happens after the excerpt? What does Tayo do?
She sings.
She sings. Okay, Amanda, I can see your hand is up.
Tayo had composed a song, so she sings the song silently in her heart, and during one of the breakfasts, on one of the days, Tayo and Rezian received a message from their parents asking them to go back home. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Amanda. At least the second part you've incorporated what Veronica had said. So what I expected for you to say after the excerpt, actually Tayo sings the song she had composed about the three blind women, and silently in her heart. And then later on, they now receive a message that they should actually go home. So that is what happens after the excerpt. So remember, when you are told to place the excerpt in its immediate context, in as much as all these ideas come to your mind, look for that particular event that is nearer to the excerpt itself. Because when you look at all those events, they actually happen, but which one is so immediate to the excerpt? Are we together, girls?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's look at question 2. Question 2 says, identify and illustrate two aspects of style in this excerpt. Which style can you identify that has been used in this particular excerpt? Florence?
There's a flashback
There's use of flashback. Where is it?
where Rezian remembers the sheep that she had seen earlier on.
How many years back?
15.
Yeah, Rezian recalls 15 years back when she had been taken to Nakuru Agricultural Show, and where she was able to see what? The picture of what?
A large flock of sheep.
A large flock of sheep. Correct. Thank you. We also have another one. 1937. 10.
Personification.
Okay.
The sharps that supported the containers pressed their heads with a painful explosion.
So what has been personified there?
The straps.
Okay. Kindly explain to me so that I can understand the aspect of personification in that particular case.
The straps have been given the characters that they are pressing the heads of the girls.
Is it personification?
I think so.
Okay, now, Wanjiru, let me ask this particular question. Now, remember, these particular straps are the ones that have tied the containers. Now, the containers of water makes it heavy, sindio? And in that particular case, now since the containers are heavy, the straps now become painful. So when you relate those all aspects, is it personification?
Oh, no.
Okay. Unless you convince me, then I wouldn't say it is actually personification. But you've tried. Thank you. Wangare 1915. Wangare 1915.
Can you say local dialect?
There's use of local dialect. Can you illustrate?
Emakirerei.
We have better words than emakerere. Which other words actually show local dialect?
Intoyene Mengalana.
Intoyene Mengalana. Thank you. Ariana, 1887. Any other style that has been used?
I wanted to say about the local dialect.
Okay, that is okay.
I wanted
Another
to add
style?
on local.
You wanted to add on local dialect?
Yes.
Which one?
And Kamuratani.
Okay, sawa, that is okay. We have Sharon, 1938. Any other style that has been used?
Can you say there is metaphor?
There's use of metaphor. That is correct. Illustrate.
When Tayo was referring to the three women as the three blind mice.
That is correct. When Tayo refers to the three women as three blind mice, that is use of metaphor. Correct. Thank you. And Della, another style.
Foreshadow.
Foreshadowing. What are we foreshadowing?
When Rezian thought of how wonderful it will be had she had a chance to enroll at Biggerton University, and after graduation had a chance to be a role model.
Okay.
Is it correct?
Okay. So, okay, Ndela, I want to actually see that aspect of foreshadowing, because if we talk of foreshadowing, it's something that you actually think of, or maybe a symbol, and then finally it actually happens later on. So when we talk of foreshadowing, there's a part, okay, there's a part that where it says, Rezian thought how wonderful it would be had she had a chance to enroll at Egerton, and after graduation had a chance to work with a role model. Now, Ndela, does this actually happen later in the book?
Yes.
Okay, that is foreshadowing. That is correct, Ndela. Teresa, 2005. Teresa?
Vivid description.
Okay, what has been vividly described?
The woolly animals, the sheep, the ones that Rezian is remembering at her past.
So what is the description? Kindly give me the description.
She could still see in her mind a group of big, docile, tawny, woolly animals that stood panting drowsily in a green pasture with,
Okay, that one is correct, Teresa. So I believe those are the stylistic devices that have been used in this particular excerpt. Now, since we do not have another one, now, since we do not have any other style that has been used, let's move to the third question that says, discuss two themes evident in this excerpt. Now, looking at this particular excerpt, which theme can we identify? Abigail, 1905.
Theme of determination.
Theme of determination, or we can say also theme of optimism. How do you illustrate that, Abigail?
And Rezian sees herself already enrolled at the Egerton University and seeing herself working with her role model, Minik and Nkotoi.
Okay, thank you. Wangare, 1915. Wangare, 1915. Any other theme that has been used in this excerpt?
I wanted to say theme of determination.
You wanted to say theme of determination?
Yes.
Okay, I believe your illustration is the same with the one that Abby has given, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay. I want to look for another person. We have Noreen, 1983. Noreen?
Theme of negative Nasilan culture.
Negative Nasilan culture. How do you illustrate that?
Here where it says about the three blind mice who she thought did not seem to know that the world was changing. Those were the Nkaisutoni, the three blind mice who ensured that the girls were circumcised. Either they were not circumcised, they will ensure when they were giving birth, they will spy on them.
Yes. Now we can talk of the negative Nasilan culture, whereby we see the three women that Tayo thinks about. And in this particular case, unfortunately, the three women propagate for negative cultural practices, like the aspect of FGM. Now, that is where in the last part, we actually see where it says the midwife and Kayotoni, who threatened to spy on the young women as they gave birth, to ensure that any who was among Intoyene Mengalana had her status altered there and then. and that is it. Now, in this particular case, it actually shows us that this particular aspect, which is the negative aspect of FGM, was being propagated by some women. That one is correct. Thank you. Any other theme that we can identify? Any other theme? Any other theme? Form 4s, what are you saying in the chat section? Collective nouns. What are collective nouns? Okay. Okay. Any other theme that has been used in this particular case? We also have the theme of women as their own enemies. Florence, can you illustrate to us the theme of women as their own enemies? How can you illustrate that?
You can see. Can you zoom it for me, please?
Okay, okay. Who can explain to us? Yes, Ndela, women being their own enemies. Yes, Ndela.
When the three blind mice, that is the one of them being the Inca Toyoni, who threatens to spy on young women as they give birth to ensure that they actually circumcise other girls during giving birth so as to ensure that, and also have their status altered. I don't know how to place it.
Okay, Ndela. Okay, Ndela, I can incorporate your idea with where it says she had already put words to a tune she had composed to ridicule the three women who she thought collaborated with men to oppress the women folk. Now, in this particular case, we can actually say the theme of women being their own enemies is that the three Nasila women, who is now Enkamuratani, Enkasakutoni, and Enkaitoyoni. Now, those particular three women now collaborated with men to oppress the women. Now, if someone collaborates with another woman or men to oppress that particular gender, in that particular case, we now say that one is women being their own enemies. So I believe you can incorporate those two particular ideas. Is that okay, Ndela? Form 4s, are we together or am I only speaking to myself?
Yes, together.
Yes.
Okay. Do we still have any other theme that might be evident? Florence, your hand was up. I don't know, did you have a question or did you have another theme?
No, I'm okay.
Okay. Let's continue with question 4. Question 4 says, discuss one character trait of Rezian and Tayo in the excerpt. Which character trait of Rezian can we identify and which one for Tayo can we identify? Yes, Joy, 2160.
Can we say that Rezian is thoughtful?
Thoughtful. Why would we say she's thoughtful?
Because she thought of how she had a chance to enroll at the Egerton University.
Now, in that particular case, Joy, do we say she is thoughtful? I believe better than.
Yes.
Word than just being thoughtful. 1,000.
Can you say that Rezian is determined?
And then now we can now use that to join Egerton University is the best option. Any other character trait? For those of you who are chatting in the chat section, I wish you would be, we are already done with with the stylistic devices. Unless there's a question that you are not sure about.
Yes, mwalimu.
Yes, mwalimu. Where? Is that karaoke or is it, who is that?
Yes, we have a problem somewhere.
What is the problem?
Okay, I'm asking whether flock of sheep is a style.
The flock of sheep is not a style. Karaoke.
Yes.
Let me look for it. It says in the excerpt, she imagined herself already there driving a large flock of sheep. Flock of sheep is just a collective noun. It is not a stylistic device. Is that okay?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, welcome. Okay, let's continue. Do we have any other character trait of Resian? How else can we describe Resian apart from being determined? Okay, someone has said Resian is optimistic. How can we illustrate Resian being optimistic? Can we actually say Resian is optimistic? Comfort, can we say Resian is optimistic?
Sure.
Yes.
Yes, I think Rezen is optimistic.
Yeah.
In that she had the thought of going to Egerton University, of which she had hope that she will go back to Nakuru and be able to enroll at Egerton University and pursue her career in veterinary.
Okay. So I believe we can say, in short, we can say Resian, we can use the terms, she's determined, we can also say she's visionary, she's optimistic, she's assertive. All those particular adjectives can be used to actually describe Resian. And in that particular case, you can now illustrate by saying she's assertive, she's a visionary, she's determined, in the aspect that she thinks about how it would be wonderful if she had a chance to enroll at Egerton University and also to work with Emma Kerere. Now, all that can actually describe Resian. What about Tayo? How can we describe Tayo? How can we describe Tayo? Anyone who can give a try? How can we describe Tayo? Any character trait that fits Tayo? From Froze. Yes, Noreen.
Can you say she's modernized? In that she does not agree. Okay, she composed a song to ridicule the three mice. Who she thought she cooperated with the men to oppress the women.
Okay.
And she didn't support the female circumcision.
Okay. Now, in that particular case, Noreen, if you say she's modernized, meaning that she actually knows the negative aspects that are brought about by these negative practices like FGM. Sindio?
Yes.
So in that particular case, if you want to say that she's modernized, then you would use the illustration where it says, there were Nasila's 3 blind mice who, she thought, did not seem to know that the world was changing. And in that particular case now, according to Tayo, she knows that the world is changing and she knows that the world does not actually accept negative practices like the ones of FGM. So that is okay?
Yes.
Okay. Now, there's also someone who has said, let me look at it. Tayo is critical. How can we say that Tayo is critical? How do we illustrate the aspect that Tayo is critical? Okay, before we answer that, Mercy, 1960, do you have something to say?
Chair had another point.
Okay, that is okay. Give us your point. Which one? How can you describe Tayo?
I wanted to say Tayo is a feminist.
A feminist? Why would you say Tayo is a feminist?
Because she composes a song to ridicule the three women who collaborated with men to oppress the women folk.
Okay. Now, unfortunately, Mercy, when you talk of a feminist is a noun. So we cannot use a noun to describe the character trait of someone. So how would you say that? Because when you talk of a feminist, that is a noun. And we cannot use a noun to describe a character trait of someone. So can you look for the most appropriate word to describe that particular scenario? Sawa, Mercy?
Yes.
Okay. Karaoke?
Can you say feministic?
Feministic. Now, just like chauvinistic.
Yes.
Karaoke, is there a word like feministic?
I thought so.
You thought so. What is the meaning of feminist?
A feminist is someone who fights. She's the one who fights for the rights of the female gender.
Of the female gender. And now, in this particular case, do we see Tayo actually fighting for the female gender?
She does something that shows she's fighting.
She does something that actually shows that she has the female gender in mind. So just the same case whereby we would describe a male chauvinist, where we can say this person is chauvinistic, the same case we can actually describe the female gender as being feministic. So it is very correct. Thank you, Karaoke, for giving us that particular answer.
Yes, you're welcome.
Okay, so in that particular case, we can say Tayo is feministic. Now, in this case, we can illustrate by actually saying she had composed a song to ridicule the three women. Now, because she wants to ridicule these particular women, because she knows that these women are enemies of their own gender, and she actually wants to correct that particular kind of behavior that they have, whereby they embrace the aspect or the negative aspect of Nasila, which is the aspect of FGM. So that one is correct. There's also someone who gave us the answer of Tayo is critical. Now I was asking, who can give us the illustration of Tayo being critical? If you find the term critical being so hard, it comes from criticism. Tayo tries to criticize something. So who can illustrate that for us? And that is why we're now coming up with the word critical. Who can illustrate how Tayo is critical? She criticizes something. What does she criticize? Yes, Florence.
Sure, we can say that Tayo is critical because she criticizes the women who carries out FGM to girls.
Okay, and she also composes a song to ridicule these particular women. So she criticizes the actions of these particular women because she knows these actions are not in line with what the girl gender would actually want. So I believe that is enough when it comes to characterizations of Rezian and Tayo. Who can give us the answer to number 5? The straps that supported the containers pressed down their heads with a painful exhaustion. Rewrite beginning with. Who can give us the answer to that? Yes, Ariana?
With a painful exhaustion, the straps that supported the containers pressed down their heads.
Exactly. So Ariana, for you to score a mark in that particular question, which punctuation mark must you incorporate?
A comma.
A comma after which phrase?
With a painful exhaustion.
Exactly. With a painful exhaustion, a comma, the straps that supported the containers pressed down their heads. That one is correct. Number 6, how does Rezian's thoughts come to be fulfilled in future? Briefly explain. How does Rezian's thoughts come to be fulfilled in future? Briefly explain. Now, I'm going to take you back to the excerpt where Rezian says, or where it says, Rezian thought how wonderful it would be had she had a chance to enroll at Egerton University, and after graduation had a chance to work with her role model, Monique, and encourage the Emakerere at the ship branch that she managed. Now, these thoughts, how do they come to be fulfilled in the future? Who can explain that to us? Okay, anyone to give a try? Okay, I have Nina, 1936. Nina? Nina?
Rezian's thoughts are fulfilled when she's rescued from that marriage, when she's rescued by Nabaru, and then she's taken to Mimi's ranch. She's given a job and a house, and then also Monique helps her to secure an admission to Egerton University.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so finally, what happens?
The novel ends.
Yes. Actually, the novel ends. So how does the novel end?
When Rezian and Tayo are going to the university.
Okay. That one is correct, Nina. Mushui, 1957, do you have something different? Mushui, 1957, I can see your hand is up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you say when to get a chance to work with Monique, and then Monique doesn't get to go to university?
I can't hear you well. Kindly repeat.
When she gets a chance to work with Monique, then Monique contacts them with a favor. Both have hired to go to Egerton University.
Okay, that one is still correct. But now I wish we'd go with what Nina actually told us, because remember the question is 4 marks. Now the question says, how does Rezian's thoughts come to be fulfilled in future? Briefly explain, 4 marks. Now for you to earn this particular 4 marks, you actually have to tell us what led to Rezian finally finding herself at Monique's ranch, and how these particular thoughts are actually fulfilled. So we have the thoughts of her joining Egerton University, and we also have the thoughts of her working with Monique. Now, you have to tell us how those 2 particular ideas are achieved. Now, you will achieve those 2 ideas by now telling us that now, later, Rezian is rescued from a planned marriage. By who? By Nabaru. Now Nabaru takes her where? To Minik's ranch. And now while she's at Minik's, she's given a house and also a job. In that particular case, when you say that she's given a house and a job, now she's able to work with Minik. And also, Minik helps her in securing an admission at Egerton University. And in that particular scholarship, she's now able to actually join Egerton University with her sister. Now, in that particular case, again, you've now told us how she's able to enroll at Egerton University. So when you incorporate all those ideas, you will be able to actually score the 4 marks. Are we still together?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, where it says, explain the meaning of the following words as used in the excerpt. Oh, what is the meaning of those words as used in the excerpt? I believe they can be seen. Who can give us the meaning of the first one? Who can give us the meaning of the first word? Yes, Sharon, 1938. Sharon?
To remember.
Now, Sharon, look at the tense. When you talk of remember and the tense, does it actually, okay, I know it is to remember, but look at the tense. How will we have it?
Remembered.
Exactly. It is going, so it means remembered, or it also means recalled. You have to pay attention to the tense that has been used. That one is correct, Sharon. Thank you. What about Roman 2? Roman 2? Who'll give us the meaning of Roman 2? Let's move very fast. I can see we only have like 3 minutes. Roman 2. And Jogu, 1916.
Worked together.
Exactly. Again, in the past tense, that one is very correct. Worked together. Thank you. Roman 3. Roman 3. Rachel, 2000.
I have a question for Roman 2.
Okay.
Can you also say join hands with?
So it will not be join hands, but you can have it as joined in the past tense. Joined hands with. That one is going to be correct. Sawa Njogu?
Yes.
Okay. Roman 3. Roman 3. Okay, we have Phoebe. Phoebe, 1948. Phoebe. Phoebe Angata. Or is it Angatia? Okay. Phoebe amepotea. Amanda, 1913.
Feared.
Feared. Correct. Feared. Ariana, do you have another word?
No.
Okay. Feared. Finally, the last one. Menacingly. Yes, Roslyn.
Can you say threateningly? Threateningly.
Threateningly.
Yes.
Yes. It must end with an ly. Threateningly. That one is correct, Roslyn. Thank you very much. Now, unless anyone has a question, I believe we've come to the end of the lesson. Anyone who has a question? Diana, 1869, do you have a question?
Yes.
Okay.
For example,
Mm.
now you want to write the meaning of that word, let's say collaborated.
Yes.
But then you take the sentence where it was picked from the past, the excerpt.
Yes.
And you replace with the word that you want to put.
Yes.
So will you put it in the tense that it's supposed to be like for example, she had already put words to a tune she had composed to ridicule the three women who she thought worked with the men, like that.
So you have, in that particular case, again, the tense will have to be in the past tense. But now, in as much as you want to have worked with, make sure again that your sentence. Okay, Diana, make sure your
Yes.
sentence again is going to be grammatically correct. So in case you want to say worked with, so you say, for example, like you say, she had composed to ridicule the three women who she thought worked with men. In that particular case, that one is going to be very correct. Because collaborated is in the past tense, worked is also in the past tense.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. That one is okay. Anyone else who has a question? Okay, so everyone is okay?
Yes.
Okay. You have a lovely day.
Same to you.
Same.
Okay.
Same.
Bye.
Same, teacher.
Same to you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.